Okay, guys, welcome to Timecrest 3 video number 2. Okay, let's just jump into it.
Close to the sun.
Model 1 said, Dr. Fulgur is approaching. Luthor. Luthor rubbed his forehead. Why are there so many distractions today?
Dr. Fulgur? This is so weird. Is this, like, Guildmaster Fulgur? Because if so, this could get strange.
Why are there so many distractions today?
Good question. What is with people?
Bray entered the room without knocking. He looked at Luthor and then he started laughing.
Typical.
Luthor placed the pocket watch into his pocket. Bray Fulgur, short and stout, wore a cloak with clunky pieces of metal sewn into it.
What? Why?
He said, Luthor, oops, I was looking for the operation room. Luthor stood up. You just passed it, Dr. Fulgur. It's the one with the large sign that says operation room.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
It's the room that you have met my dad in countless times. Bray laughed. Why do you need to go to my father's operation room? Luthor looked apprehensive. Bray laughed and said, You know the answer, Luthor. Your father is watching over the latest Valdorian soldier that got stricken with a disease. I'm here to hold the poor sap back to the palace. Luthor swallowed hard and clenched his fists. People are still getting sick with humans locked up in quarantine towns. Doesn't that either mean a human wasn't behind the disease or, at least, that this whole quarantine thing doesn't work?
Quarantine. Okay, so that's kind of basically getting more backstory now.
Bray said, Nothing can be done about the disease you humans have spread, but locking you all up makes people feel that justice is being served and gives them some peace of mind.
You guys, you can't lock people up without frigging evidence. Like, how is anyone okay with this? If people, like, why would you lock humans up? I get that they're, like, we're basically, like, from another world, but, like, you don't have evidence, like, complete proper evidence that a human actually started this disease, right? I'm assuming, maybe they do have evidence, actually, and I'm just speaking too soon, who knows?
Even though Valdor has to place a lot of its own soldiers to guard us because no one else wants to be near humans. What about you, Dr. Fulgur? You're not Valdorian, so you don't have to be here and work for them. Bray said, I'm deathly afraid of contracting the Valdorian disease myself, but someone has got to do the dirty work.
Is that a note of sarcasm I sense there? Maybe it's just the music.
Luthor narrowed his eyes as Bray laughed and rubbed his hands together. What kind of dirty work are you doing that makes you seem so gleeful, Dr. Fulgur? Bray said, Working as a medical ambassador for the Valdorian Empire isn't glamorous. I have to spend all my time around both sick people and you humans who are suspected of trying to take over Alincia. Bray said, My life is in grave danger because of my job, so I have to do what I can to stay positive.
Just stop working there, quit.
Bray laughed again as Luthor eyed him. Why do you continue to work for Janos then? Shouldn't your life be more valuable than any job?
Exactly.
Bray said, I don't care about my life if I can do what I want, Luthor. I don't care about anything as long as old man Janos lets me continue my experiments.
Reckless, and also this guy's acting very suspicious right now.
Bray gleefully rubbed his hands again.
What kind of experiments is this guy doing, I swear?
Or are you not afraid of getting sick at all because you created the Valdorian disease?
Oh, that's a theory.
The room was quiet for a second.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Bray blinked before he wagged one finger at Luthor and said, Now, Luthor, that hurts.
Does it really? Does it?
Bray said, Do you want me to tell your dad about this wild theory of yours? Bray said, Do you want me to tell your dad about this wild theory of yours? He'll be upset to know you accused me of a crime for which you have no proof.
Don't do that.
I don't have proof, but you're one of the most brilliant people I know. So I have a theory, Dr. Fulgur. Bray arched his brow at Luthor and said, Go on. Tell me why you... Bray arched his brow at Luthor and said, Go on. Tell me why you think I'm brilliant. He rubbed his hands gleefully together again. You created a disease that no one has been able to find a cure for. And you managed to find a way to target naturals with the disease. Naturals like yourself, Dr. Fulgur, share appearances, biology, even or levels with human descendants like me. We're supposedly no different from each other. At least that's what countless studies say. No one has been able to find a reason for the curious phenomenon of how so many people in Ulansia are the same as the people who came from a completely different world.
That is weird.
There are only two ways to distinguish a human from a natural. 1. The person admits they have human lineage like your previous partner, Howard Crawford, admitted to you. Bray's expression looked sullen, like a sad child, as Luthor mentioned Howard's name. 2. The person has the Nexutos spell to connect to the human world like me. But the Nexutos spell is rare amongst humans and human descendants. It's not uncommon for human descendants to think they are naturals and naturals to think they are human descendants. Yet, ellipsis, it's extremely important to Janos that no one who falls out of the disease has any speck of human lineage. Janos has pitted everyone against humans on the sole fact that the disease spares humans. I assume that's why naturals were the last race to get sick.
Oh, that's their evidence. I mean, yeah, but like that's not even solid evidence because what if humans are just immune? Like, guys, you can't do that.
The disease started with Valdorians because Valdorians are known never to mix their blood. Then the disease targeted other races like Bunafs and Chrysalis who clearly aren't human. But Janos needed the support of the naturals. Naturals are the majority race in Ulansia after all. But they are extremely tricky to separate from humans. You can't just target people without a Nexutos spell because there are tons of humans who don't have Nexutos. Luthor paused as he stared directly at Bray. But you figured it out, Dr. Fulgur. You figured out how to distinguish two virtually identical races. All the naturals that have died to the disease are ones who have proven to not have a speck of human lineage. I'm curious, Dr. Fulgur. Did you actually find a third way to tell the difference between naturals and humans? Bray's expression changed to utter delight. Luthor waited for Bray to respond. Bray laughed and said, I'd love to be able to tell you the answer, but this is a question for the human who created the disease.
Oh my gosh, guys, you can't lock people up for no okay, you can't lock people up without solid evidence that they genuinely actually created the disease. Like, this is infuriating.
Luthor frowned. I don't have proof you created the disease, but once I do, you know Janos will let you take the fall, Dr. Fulgur. Come clean to my dad and we can help you turn the tables on Janos together. Bray laughed and said, that sounds good and all, but there are two problems. He raised one finger and said, Number 1, I didn't create the Valdorian disease. Bray raised another finger and said, Number 2, you can't give me what I want, Luthor. And what is it that you want, Dr. Fulgur? Bray laughed in reply. Luthor shook his head and sighed. System message, Luthor is waiting. I hate Fulgur. 1 of 4 responses. I like Fulgur's sense of humor. 2 of
I
4
don't.
Can you tell me more about Howard Crawford? 3 of say nothing. 4 of 4.
That's an option.
I hate Fulgur.
I mean, I don't completely hate Fulgur, but I don't like him. He's very suspicious, so,
Say nothing.
I don't know, maybe, I guess I'll say nothing, because none of these really, I mean, I could ask about Howard Crawford.
Can you tell me more?
Sure, I'll ask about that.
Can you tell me more about Howard Crawford? 3 of responded. Can you tell me more about Howard Crawford? Luthor's attention is on Bray. He did not see your message.
Well, darn.
Unless you're going to tell me what you want, Dr. Fulgur, we're done here. I'm heading out. Descriptive. As Luthor walked towards the door, Bray moved in front, blocking Luthor's exit.
I don't know why you want to know what this guy wants, Luthor. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you want to find out what he wants.
Bray said, don't be in such a hurry, Luthor. We should enjoy our chance meeting and talk more. You came to my lab. You came to my lab. That's not chance. Luthor started to walk around Bray to exit, but Bray raised his arm and stopped him again. Bray's tone turned serious as he said, perhaps there is something I want from you. Luthor didn't reply, but he stopped and looked at Bray. Bray laughed and said, do you like my cloak, Luthor? The metal pieces I sewed in are a nice touch, aren't they? I feel like I'm wearing armor like the Valdorians wear.
I don't think sewing a bunch of pieces of metal onto a cloak is armor-worthy. I think you'd insult armor by saying... Okay.
What is it that you want from me, Dr. Fulgur? Bray said, I'll have you know, it's my favorite cloak. I don't like wearing it to work, but today I made an exception. Bray said, I like how the patchwork of this cloak matches my new skin graft.
Skin graft? Does he mean like a tattoo? What?
Bray lifted off a glove and showed Luthor a Valdorian tattoo stitched into his hand. The colour of the patch of skin that the tattoo rested on clearly didn't match the rest of Bray's greyish-coloured skin.
What? What? No, that's so... What did he frigging... What did he do?
Luthor averted his eyes. Bray said, "Do you recognise this patch of skin, Luthor?"
What? I don't even want to think too much about what is going on here.
Luthor shook his head. Bray looked at his hand and said, "Oh, I thought that's why you looked away. Please stop showing me the skin you've removed from other people and sewn into yourself."
That's really gross to think about. Oh my gosh.
Bray said,
Why?
"Are you sure you didn't look away because this patch of skin is from the man you killed?"
Well, that's a plot twist.
Luthor's eyes widened, his expression turning to horror as he slowly turned back to examine the implanted skin with the tattoo. "Why, how could you?" Bray said, "This particular patch of skin makes a nice keepsake. Don't you think so, Luthor?" Luthor turned away from Bray and placed both hands on a nearby desk, propping himself up. Luthor turned away from Bray and placed both hands on a nearby desk, propping himself up. Luthor took several deep breaths. Bray's eyes widened before he started cackling with laughter.
Maybe I'm kind of wishing I picked the I hate Fulgur option now. This guy is literally insane. Like, what?
Bray said, "Don't tell me you're still broken up about the one life you took. It's been nearly a year already." He said, "And I still don't get why you're blaming yourself. Your robot is responsible for the death of that Valdorian man. His name is Lieutenant Zone Valsori." Bray said, "You have such a good memory, Luthor. Or maybe you don't because one person's name is easy to remember." Bray said, "Trust me, it starts getting hard after 100 names or so."
That's another thing I don't want to really think about.
Luthor clenched his fist. "I killed Lieutenant Zone Valsori. Model 1 is my creation. The poison that Model 1 administered to the Lieutenant is also made by me." Bray said, "You didn't make a poison. You thought you created the cure to the Valdorian disease. Your cure just made people so uncontrollably violent that they had to be put down." Bray said, "You didn't make a poison." Bray shrugged and said, "There was no way for you to know that this was a side effect until you tested it. Yet you let your fear of side effects stop you from doing what needed to be done."
That's fair. Okay, so... Wait, okay, so Luthor created a serum that, yeah, it didn't kill someone necessarily, but it caused them to need to be killed, kind of. Okay, I don't... That's not good, but, like, if it wasn't you who administered it or whatever, I don't know. Fearing side effects is fair. Like, you should fear side effects.
Bray said, "Your emotions stopped you from making progress," and Bray looked gleeful. "Progress is the sweetest thing any inventor can ask for."
Stop. You're gonna freaking taint this guy.
Bray said, "Your emotions stopped you from making progress," and Bray looked gleeful. "Progress is the Model 1 said, "I accept full responsibility for testing your cure on Lieutenant Zone Valsori when you told me explicitly not to. Luthor, please don't blame yourself." Bray clapped and said, "I'm honored to be in your presence, Model 1. To think that Luthor made a robot whose semblance is a free will. Model 1's free will is an accident. I never meant it to hurt anyone. Model 1's free will is an accident. I never meant it to hurt anyone. Model 1 is supposed to do what I want." Bray said, "Are you sure Model 1 didn't do what you want? After you worked hard to develop a cure, there must have been a part of you that wanted to test it out." "I told Model 1 that I didn't want to test it out until I was sure there were no side effects." Bray said, "You designed Model 1 to do exactly what you want. But Model 1 is special in that it has its own ability to interpret what you want. Essentially, Model 1 is free to act based on what it has analyzed and believes you truly want. I made a mistake designing Model 1. I regret making someone who thinks I'm okay with killing people to get what I want."
Okay, that's why you don't... That's why you weren't... That's why you were, like, acting so, like, brisk around Model 1, kind of, I guess.
Bray frowned and said, "Model 1 is the perfect person in my opinion. Someone who will always remain rational and never let pesky emotions get in the way of what needs to be done."
Yeah, because you're insane, you know, like that, you know, like no one else would think that. At least I'm hoping not. If they do, then they're also insane.
Model 1 said, "I am a robot and not a person, Dr. Fulgur, though Luthor does refer to me with male pronouns." Bray said, "You're way cooler than a person. I wish I could be like you. I don't like having my feelings hurt." Bray stuck one finger into the air and said, "Oh, That reminds me. Fulgur was really mean. He made fun of this cloak and that really hurt my feelings. He said, on the day he contracted the disease, I laughed at him hard. My throat was sore from trying to laugh harder at Fulgur than he laughed at my cloak, but it was worth it.
This guy's either a psychopath or a sociopath. People who actually know the difference, you can comment down below which one he is, because I don't know the difference, but he's one of those, or both of them, I don't know. Anyway.
Bray looked around Luthor's lab. He said, so where is your next batch of cure you want to test, Luthor? Remember, there's a subject you can use it on right now in your dad's operation room.
Stop! Just leave! No one wants to talk to you.
No, I'm done. I'm not going to do anything that could kill another person. The only thing I want is to undo my mistakes. Bray said, perhaps you need to kill more people to get used to.
Stop!
Shut up.
Exactly! You tell him, Luthor. You crazy man. Guy, I don't know.
Luthor swiped his hands across the desk and test tubes fell to the floor and shattered. He looked at his reflection in the broken glass. I won't take another life. No matter what, I'll find other ways to get what I want. I won't take another life. No matter what, I'll find other ways to get what I want. That's a promise.
That's a good oath.
Bray shook his head and said, you're such a kid, Luthor. Bray said, I thought you had toughened up when you accused me of genocide, but you look like you're about to lose your lunch just because I brought up a distant memory.
Yeah, well, it's fair. Like, he killed someone by accident. Like, that's scarring. You're just like, I don't know. You're crazy, so you think this is normal. It's not normal. Come on. Like, the poor guy.
Luthor looked down at the broken glass. Model 1 flew over and started cleaning up the glass. Bray said, it's too bad. I admire your genius, Luthor. I thought you'd be the one to figure out the cure to the Valdorian disease. I really did. Bray said, that's why I helped you keep Fulgur a secret. I didn't want you to get into trouble. Bray shrugged and said, but I'm losing faith in you. You gave up just because you felt bad that someone got killed. Bray said, if I ever became like you, I'd think I'd want to kill myself. Luthor dug a nail into his palm. Bray looked at Model 1 and said, but you didn't shut down Model 1 yet, so maybe you can be redeemed. I will shut down Model 1. Bray laughed as he turned his back on Luthor and started to walk out of the room. Luthor raised his hand and said, wait, what do you want from me? You didn't tell me yet. Bray stopped in his tracks. He whirled around and lunged at Luthor. Before Luthor could move, Bray was hugging him. Luthor shuddered. Dr. Fulgur, why are you hugging me? What exactly do you want from me? Bray let Luthor go, his expression sullen. Bray said, nothing. Bray walked out of the room.
That was like my I think that was honestly my least favorite interaction while playing the whole of Timecrest. Like that was just what? That was just like I hated that guy. That guy was genuinely like no, also you don't want to know what that guy wants, Luthor. You really don't want to know.
Luthor looked bewildered for a moment before he charged at the door and punched it. I'm going to shut down Model 1. I will do it. I will do it. Luthor pressed both hands on the door, forcing himself to take several deep breaths, until his breathing slowed to normal. Luthor pressed both hands on the door, forcing himself to take several deep breaths, until his breathing slowed to normal. He glanced back at Model 1, who continued to clean up the broken glass. Luthor swallowed as he took the watch out of his pocket. Luthor saw your message asking for more information on Howard Crawford. Dr. Crawford? He used to be Bray Fulgur's lab partner and hates it whenever Dr. Fulgur's name is mentioned around him. Mum says Bray told Valder of Dr. Crawford's human lineage and got him quarantined. Other than that, all I know is Dr. Crawford drew a spell from a human machine that allows him to diagnose any illness with his eyes, and he smokes a lot.
Wow, that is powerful. He can diagnose illnesses with his eyes? Wow.
Luthor took a deep breath and leaned against the door as he looked at Model 1, who had finished cleaning up the glass. I was careless and couldn't control my own creation. Now you know something that even my parents don't know. Luthor wrapped his arms around himself. I killed someone.
It wasn't your fault, though. It genuinely wasn't your fault. Like, you created that thing because you were trying to help. You created, like, what you thought was a cure. And besides, you weren't the one who tested it. You weren't the one who tested it. Like, even if you wanted it to be tested, it's not your fault that Model 1 tested it for you. Like, That's not your fault.
Lieutenant Zone Valsori is dead. Luthor shook with emotion. System message. You're going to break your promise of not killing. I know for a fact you'll kill all the Valdorians. 1 of 4
I
responses.
can't say that. That's so insensitive.
Why don't you shut down Model 1 if you can't control it? Don't let it kill someone else. 2 of 4. You were just trying to help find a cure. Luthor. It was just an unfortunate accident, so go easy on yourself. 3 of 4. Do other people have trouble with the robots too? 4 of
Okay, I'm picking this one because you need consolation.
You were just trying to help find a cure. Luthor. It was just an unfortunate accident, so go easy on yourself. Responded. Luthor lowered his head, his hair covering his eyes. Descriptive. Luthor lowered his head, his hair covering his eyes.
Come on, it's...
A part of me is happy to hear those words from you. That you don't think I'm some kind of monster for what I did and for not shutting down Model 1 right afterwards.
I mean, he is your, kind of robot. I mean, I don't fully get why you didn't shut Model 1 down, but, like, you did put, like, hard work into making him, and, like, I don't know, he seems like a nice robot, so I kind of get that.
Another part of me hates that I don't remind myself every day that I killed someone.
Yeah, but that would be kind of self-tortured, so I don't know.
Luthor sighed. Luthor let his hands drop to his side. He turned around and stared blankly at the door of his lab. I guess we should go get those cupcakes.
Yeah, the cupcakes.
His voice sounded numb. Model 1 said, would you like me to go pick up the cupcakes for you, Luthor? No. I need to get out of this lab. Model 1 followed Luthor and said, shall I play you some light-hearted music, Luthor? No, I don't need music today. Stay and wait for me in the lab, Model 1. Model 1 said, is that what you want, Luthor? Just listen to me, Model 1. Whatever I say I want is what I want. Model 1 said, of course. I will wait here for your return. Luthor opened the door of his lab and dragged himself outside. Luthor stood in a straight hallway that ended at an elevator. The label beside the door Luthor came out of said, Lab 2. Luthor placed the pocket watch inside his outer jacket pocket. I don't want people in town to see me carrying the watch, but I'll pay attention to its glow. The glow. I don't want people in town to see me carrying the watch, but I'll pay attention to its glow. The glow pulsates when you send me messages. Luthor started walking down the hallway past Lab 1. His pace quickened as he heard cackling laughter from inside the operation room. Luthor stepped into the elevator. There are 4 buttons: rooftop, lab, living quarters, ground floor. Luthor stepped into the elevator. There are 4 buttons: rooftop, lab, living quarters, ground floor. Luthor pressed ground floor and the elevator started descending. Luthor leaned against the elevator wall and looked at his reflection. System message. What are your hobbies, Luthor? 1 of 4 Do you like griffin eggs, Luthor? 2. Are you sure you can't keep your promise never to take another life? What if your family's lives were in danger, hypothetically speaking? 3. I expected your elevator to be more magical. 4 of 4
I'll pick the last one, just it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Nice
message
response,
responded.
I guess, I don't know.
Descriptive help.
I feel that response.
Luthor saw the pulsating glow of the pocket watch. He took the watch out of his pocket. My dad and I enjoy researching and recreating things from the human world like this elevator. It helps us learn more about our lineage.
Okay.
Descriptive help. He placed the pocket watch back in his jacket. The elevator door opened.
Oh yes, okay. What's this gonna look like, I guess?
On the ground floor was a library, surrounded by laser-cut wall panels that bathed the room in patterned light.
Oh wow.
One side of the room had no wall panels and was completely open to the outside.
That sounds very nice, though.
Descriptive. One side of the room had no wall panels and was completely open to the outside. People sat in tidy and comfortable seating areas scattered throughout the library, softly chatting or engrossed in their reading. Some of the seating areas were elevated by elegant spiraling staircases. Luthor inhaled the aroma of coffee and various flower teas. Everyone looked happy and rested. Luthor frowned as he glanced around at the people in the library. He sighed. Luthor frowned as he glanced around at the people in the library. He sighed to himself. Poor Dad. Descriptive. Poor Dad. Alenceans are all avid readers, so my dad thought that if we opened up our library to the public, it would attract Valdorian soldiers patrolling the zone to read and relax with us. Maybe the soldiers will even read a book or 2 from the human world when they get used to being around us. That's what my dad thought would happen. Luthor tapped one foot and looked up at the high ceiling. Descriptive. Luthor tapped one descriptive help button. On the first day my family was quarantined in this town, I went up to the rooftop of this building. Descriptive help button. On the first day my family was quarantined in this town, I went up. It hadn't been assigned to us at the time, but it was the tallest building and I wanted to make myself taller, hoping that I would be able to see past the Valdorian wall that surrounds us. I couldn't see past the wall. I ended up staring at the wall defiantly.
Nice.
I told myself that I was going to get back my freedom and freedom for all of the humans who have been trapped by Valdor. Luthor put both hands in his pocket and rubbed the watch face with one finger. I feel stuck.
Fair, you literally are. Like, there's friggin' walls around you, and no evidence that a human started that disease again.
I'm no closer to getting us our freedom than the first day I was quarantined. Neither is my dad. Luthor sighed and shook his head, but ended up smiling. But I'm glad the pocket watch is finally working. I'm glad you're here now. It gives me hope. I'm glad you're here now. It gives me hope. System message. Luthor is wait. Do you think your dad's plan is going to work eventually? 1 of 2. Is there a difference between tomes and books? 2 of 2.
Oh yeah, that's something I actually am curious about.
Is there a descriptive. Responded. Is there a difference between tomes and books? Luthor saw the glow of the pocket watch, looked at your message, and placed the watch back into the pocket. Oh, were there not any tomes back in your day, time manipulator? Luthor smiled. Descriptive. Luthor smiled.
I completely forgot that he thinks I'm someone else. I genuinely completely forgot that. Okay, well, anyway.
I'm not sure what your books are like, but I can tell you about Elysian tomes and you can't see if there are any differences.
Okay, well, we all know what a book is. We have to make sure that we know what a book is. You know, those things with pages. Okay, I'm joking.
Tomes indicate if mages have learned certain types of spells from reading it.
Wait, what?
Tomes indicate if mages have learned certain types of spells from reading it. Luthor walked over to a shelf and removed a tome decorated with shiny jewels and the words "The Wind Prophet" written in metallic green lettering. He opened up the cover. On the first page it said "Chance of learning wind-based spells." I read "The Wind Prophet" a long time ago and drew levitas from it. Tomes that are decorated with jewels are typically advertising that some people who have read it have learned spells from it.
That's nice.
That's a big reason why Elysians are avid readers. I heard drawing magic from human books is known to be rare, even for people with human lineage, so people prefer spending their time on tomes. Luthor closed the Wind Prophet tome and placed it back on the shelf.
Is that the only difference? Like, the books are just books and tomes are books that you can draw a spell from? Is that the only difference?
Tomes are also written in Elysian glyphs. We only have one language across all the races.
Oh yeah, that. Okay,
A lot
that
of
too. Yeah, okay.
A lot of the human books we have in Elysia aren't translated because it's hard and there's a lack of interest from readers. Valdor likes to confiscate books, but when I had access to them before the quarantine, I couldn't read them by myself without the help of Model 1. Luthor lowered his gaze. Model 1 spent a long time gathering information about human languages so he could read them to me. System message. What's your favorite book or tome? 1 of 3. AWW. That's nice of Model 1. 2 of 3. What other spells do you know besides levitas? 3 of descriptive help, but
It is nice for Model 1, but I'm also curious about the...
what's your favorite book or tome?
That. Is there, yeah, what?
Respond.
But yeah, okay, also, what kinds of things, like, are all tomes just spell-based, or can you, like... I'm assuming, there could be, like, tomes on, like, random stuff, right? But then... like, can you draw spells from, like, say, a tome about, like, wolves or, griffin eggs? Like, can you draw spells from that?
Responded. There's one series of tomes I've been following called Brilliant Elysia, My Journal of Living in Our World. It's basically a very detailed encyclopedia of Elysia, which is nice for me since I'm cut off from the rest of the world.
Yeah, that sounds nice, though.
The author goes by the name of N. Jab. N. Jab has the goal of documenting all the different things about Elysia, from wildlife and fauna, towns and foods. I enjoy his dedication to his mission. He has even joined several guilds so he can write about them.
That's interesting.
Luthor paused.
It's a very cool life goal.
N. Jab talks about orphaning his infant son in order to pursue his goal. He said one of these days, he'll reveal why he's making an encyclopedia of Elysia.
Okay, well...
The why is what I'm waiting for. New tomes are hard to come by though. No one knows when or when, Jabwill dropped his next tome.
The thing with the orphaning your child, I don't agree with that much, but
Luthor started to make
sure, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
his way out of the library, but his path was blocked by a teenager around his age. Dylan Stone gaped at Luthor for a few more moments before waving and making his approach.
Like, why the surprise?
Dylan said, Luthor, long time no see. Luthor, what have you been up to lately? Hey, Dylan, I've been busy with a new project. After a moment of silence, Dylan said, you've been missing out on some great weather, Luthor. So my mum tells me. She asked me to run an errand for her, but I'm sure it's just a ploy to get me outside because she thinks I'm too pale. Dylan laughed and said, I wish going out was enough for my parents. My dad nags me. Dylan laughed and said, I wish going out was enough for my parents. My dad nags me about my magic. I think he wants me to be as good as you or something so King Janos would pay attention to us too. Dylan said, I tell Dad to stop using his son. If he wants the king's attention so much, he could go work on his own magic if you know what I mean. Luthor.
Yeah, that sounds a bit, inconsiderate. Like, you shouldn't be forcing what you want on your children.
Luthor gave a small smile. Luthor looked past Dylan at the outside as Dylan said, have you seen the latest episode of This Is Valder with Callum Valdem? Luthor shook his head. Dylan said, you missed a funny episode. Callum goes around using pickup lines on all kinds of people. Had me and my sister rolling on the ground laughing. Dylan paused before he said, do you remember my sister Nadia? Yeah. I went to her last birthday party. Dylan winked and said, she's still talking about you, if you know what I mean. It's annoying, because her birthday was so long ago. Luthor gave a small smile. Dylan said, she'd kill me if I didn't ask, but Nadia's having another party. Want to come? Dylan said, she'd kill me if I didn't ask, but Nadia's having another party. Want to come? Luthor shook his head.
Oh, a bit straightforward, Luthor.
Tell her I'm sorry that I won't be able to make it. Dylan smirked and said, darn, Nadia's going to be real disappointed to hear that.
Well, sorry.
Dylan laughed as he said, knowing Nadia, she might even cancel the party if you're not there. Though I think she would trade you for Callum if she could. He said, she never, ever misses one of his broadcasts. Luthor arched his brow and gave a small smile. Dylan said, so, have you seen the Valdorian Mage Wars? Dylan said, so, have you seen the Valdorian Mage Wars? The fights are epic. I have to hand it to Valder. They have some pretty powerful mages. I don't spend much time watching what the Valdorian Empire broadcasts to us. Dylan looks dumbfounded. He said, are you really that busy, Luthor? Tell your parents that you need a break once in a while. Dylan stretched out his arms and said, our lives are pretty chill here in the quarantine town. Got to enjoy it while it lasts, Luthor, before your dad figures out how to earn our freedom if you know what I mean.
Well, don't enjoy it too much, or you'll like it or something. I don't know. I don't think liking being cooped up is a good thing.
Aren't you suspicious why the Valdorian Empire is being so nice to us, Dylan? Dylan shrugged and said, because they're nice people. Sure, their soldiers are super stern, but they've always been polite to us. And I think Callum and I would be good friends if I met the guy.
Yeah, about that. I don't think they'd be caging you up without, solid evidence if they were nice people. That's just a little hint though, anyway.
Dylan smirked and said, but most importantly, let them be nice to us. Why worry about that? Dylan said, you know what I mean, right, Luthor? What's it going to take for you to believe that Janos is the one behind the Valdorian disease? Dylan waved his hands in front of him and said, whoa, Luthor, ellipsis, wish you would stop saying that. I don't... Dylan waved his hands in front of him and said, whoa, Luthor, ellipsis, wish you would stop saying that. I don't want us to get into any trouble. What's it going to take for you to believe me, Dylan? Dylan said, I don't know, Luthor. I still don't get why King Janos would create something that kills his own people. The disease kills Valdorians so that people don't easily suspect Janos of creating the disease. Just like you don't suspect him. Dylan said, what are you getting at, Luthor? People believe what Janos says about us, that humans created the disease to take over Alencia, because no humans have died from the disease. As a result, we've all been quarantined because the disease seems to send such a clear and clean message that a human is behind it. Dylan said, wait, I don't get it. What are you... Dylan said, wait, I don't get it. What are you saying?
Maybe you should talk about this somewhere else. Like, you're in, a public area. Like, what if someone overhears?
If I made the disease, I would kill some humans with it. That way, at least humans won't end up quarantined. Luthor's eyes looked pained as he said the word kill while Dylan looked confused. I wouldn't send such a clear message that the disease is human-made unless I wanted Alincia to hate humans. Don't you think getting people to hate humans is not a goal a human would have, but Jan knows Valder might?
That is a key point. That is actually a really good point. Like, a human wouldn't cause, like, all other humans to be quarantined. I don't know, this is weird.
Dylan said, why would King Janos want people to hate humans specifically? What if the king's ultimate goal is to, ellipsis, eliminate all humans from Alincia for some reason? Dylan's eyes widened as he said, whoa, Luthor, ellipsis. Dylan started laughing and said, oh, I get it. Dark humor, right, Luthor. Luthor sighed and glanced at Dylan, who still looked confused. Luthor and Dylan stood in silence for a few moments, with Dylan looking uncomfortable.
Yeah, awkward.
Listen, I have to go and run that errand for my mom. Dylan, it was nice catching up with you. Dylan seemed relieved as he said, right. You too, Luthor. I have to head home. Dylan seemed relieved as he said, right. You too, Luthor. I have to head home. Another episode of This Is Valder is about to start. Dylan waved at Luthor and said, see you around, Luthor. System message. How do the Valdorian broadcasts work? 1 of 3. Dylan seems to like being in Janos prison. 2 of 3. Do you know someone named Connor Stone? 3 of 3. How do the
Which one? I'm stuck between the first and the third.
Do you know someone named Connor Stone?
Sure, I'll ask this. The broadcasts can wait a bit, I guess.
Descriptive help. Responded, do you know someone named Connor Stone? Luthor saw the glow from his pocket, took out the watch and looked at your message. Luthor shook his head.
Oh, well, okay, different Connors.
I don't know the Stone family too well, but I don't think any of them are named Connor.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's, different I don't know, weird, okay.
Who is this Connor Stone to you? System message. He's someone I want to learn more about. 1 of 2
He's some guy who's, very, he was kind of suspicious in the mage trials. Yeah.
I know someone named Connor Stone and wanted to check if he's related to Dylan. That's all. 2 of 2. He's someone I want to learn more about. 1 of 2. I know someone named Connor. Descriptive help.
Really, honestly, I don't really want to learn more about him. He's not my top priority.
Descriptive help. Pocket watch. I know someone named Connor Stone and wanted to check if he's related to Dylan. That's all. 2.
Yeah.
Responded. I know someone.
I feel like that response is though, like, it's looking like I'm kind of desperate now and genuinely do want to know more, but I'm trying to hide it. But, yeah, I don't, so.
I assume the Connor you know is from Alincia.
Yeah.
It would be a phenomenon for someone in the...
Well, yeah, I don't know, probably. They're not from... I don't know if they have human blood, though.
Luthor Paul. It would be a phenomenon for someone in the human world to be related to someone in Alincia because none of us can leave Alincia.
Okay.
Luthor paused. What are the chances the Connor Stone you know would be related to Dylan's family? I'm sure there are other families out there with the last name of Stone. But if Connor is related, then he might be human. Luthor started to walk towards the library exit when Dr. Fulgur phased in front of him.
Oh my gosh, this guy!
Luthor's eyes widened. How did you know where to teleport to find me? Bray said, you know when I gave you that hug. Luthor squirmed and clenched his hands together. Bray said, I planted a location spell on you. I wasn't sure at the time I had more to say to you, but I planted the spell in case I changed my mind. Bray laughed, spread out his arms and said, and I did. Luthor's eyes widened as Bray grabbed his arm and teleported them back inside the elevator.
This isn't good. This can't be good.
Luthor's eyes widened as Bray grabbed his arm and teleported them back inside the elevator. Bray laughed as he sealed the elevator door behind him with magic. Bray said, I want to see if we can become friends, Luthor. Luthor narrowed his eyes and shook his head. We're not off to a good start, Dr. Fulgur. Bray said, don't get ahead of yourself, Luthor. I don't know if... Bray said, don't get ahead of yourself, Luthor. I don't know if I want you as a friend yet. You haven't proven yourself.
You want to decide? Friendship is mutual. You can't just you can't decide if someone's your friend and then the oh my okay this
Bray
guy.
said, in fact, I found you really annoying earlier when you couldn't even get over killing one person.
That's because you're I don't know who I don't know why people would want to be your friends. I'm sorry that's a mean thing to say, but you're just go find other people who like what you like, okay? Please just leave, please.
Luther shuddered for a moment. Luther moved past Bray and started pressing his hands against the elevator door. Let me out of here. Bray said, I did create the Valdorian disease like you suspected. Don't you want to hear how to prove that humans are innocent?
Oh my gosh! What? Okay.
Luther's hands dropped to his side as he whirled around to face Bray. Bray laughed and said, but first I have to warn you that I blabbered to your dad about how you accused me of creating the Valdorian disease.
Oh my gosh, you...
Bray said, of course. I didn't mention that you were right, so you're in some serious trouble with Julius. Tell me how to prove that humans didn't create the disease. Bray said, yeah. I'll get to that. Bray said, yeah. I'll get to that. Your dad's reaction was so courteous when I told him you accused me. He apologized to me profusely just like I expected. Bray's expression became gleeful as he pointed his finger at Luther. He said, but you, Luther, your father's reaction made me realize how much I admire you. Luther arched his brow. Bray said, you're so smart. You figured out that I created the Valdorian disease. What's next? Bray said, why do you look so serious, Luther? Be happy. You're right. I'll be happy when you admit that you created the Valdorian disease to my dad and the public, Dr. Fulgur. Bray said, I have a better idea than just giving a boring speech to people about what I did, Luther. Bray reached into his pocket and pulled out a squishy ball.
What now?
Luther eyed the squishy ball as Bray said, I wanted to give you this when I saw you back at the lab, but then you bored me with how teary-eyed you were about killing that one guy. His name is Lieutenant. Bray said, yeah. Lieutenant Meany has no taste in cloaks. Lieutenant Zone Valsolvi. Bray stamped his feet and said, I thought you didn't like killing, Luther, because you sure are killing my mood. Bray poked at the ball with one finger as he said, this squishy ball I'm offering you contains the Valdorian disease.
What? It's a squishy ball! What? What?
Luther's eyes widened as he stared at the ball Bray is holding.
This is... What's his motive? Why is the Dr. Fulgur standing with Luthor in this elevator? I have a really bad feeling about this, but I'm just gonna hope that it's not what I think it is.
I can't contract the disease from that squishy ball. Bray nodded and said, if I hit you with it.
If you... What? That's... What?
Luther took a deep breath and stepped towards the ball and examined it closely. Bray laughed and looked excited. He said, most would back away, but you're curious, aren't you, Luther? He said, most would back away, but you're curious, aren't you, Luther? I knew you had potential. Why are you showing me this, Dr. Fulgur? Bray said, as your reward for being right and having enough guts to call me out on it. The man who made the disease is a dangerous man to confront. No. Bray laughed while Luther continued to examine the ball. The disease is not airborne, nor is it a spell. It's in liquid form. How does it target naturals? Bray said, manually.
Manually?
Luther straightened up and narrowed his eyes at Bray. Don't tell me, you. Bray looks delighted as he tossed the ball into the air and caught it a few times. You throw the disease at people to infect them.
That's... I don't even know what that is. It's not really dark. What? That's so weird. Why? What?
Bray jumped up and down and said, I do, like a water balloon. There are humans who I never suspect. Luther drew in a deep... Bray jumped up and down. Luther drew in a deep breath as he shook his head. I never suspected you manually target people that aren't human. How did you manage to never make a mistake? There are humans who think they are naturals because they don't know their own family lineage. Bray said, oh, I made plenty of mistakes. I'm just good... Bray said, oh, I made plenty of mistakes. I'm just good at covering them up. Bray said, and I probably infected some humans along the way. Bray thought for a bit and snapped his finger. He said, The odds are high that some people I infected are human, but as long as their human lineage isn't traceable, then I'm good. Luthor clenched his fist. So, if the disease manually targets people, does that mean Janus chose which Valdorians to die, including his wife, Queen Olivia? Bray said, nope. Old man Janus thinks the disease targets people automatically because that's what I told him.
Oh, wow. Even the king doesn't know? Okay.
Luthor swallowed hard as his breathing quickened. Bray said in a deeper tone, I decide who dies. Luthor backed away from Bray until his back pressed against the elevator wall. Bray said, the downside of lying to old man Janus is that I have no one to help me research people with a clean history without any human lineage. Bray shrugged and said, but the extra work is worth it to me. Luthor looked Bray in the eyes. You're the one who infected Lieutenant Zone Valkyrie? Bray nodded and said, Lieutenant Meany made fun of my cloak. He had to go, obviously.
This guy, he was the person who killed that man. Like, I can't say I'm surprised. Like, he was already acting suspicious, and this just kind of confirms my theories from earlier. I don't know what to say about this, honestly. Like, I don't know. This is just weird, and no, and stop, and just... What?
Luthor looked down at the ground, his hair covering his eyes. I won't tell Janus what you said to me. Bray laughed and said, that's a good boy, but just so we're clear, I can infect your whole family, Dad, Mum and Baby.
Oh my gosh, now you're threatening. Are you serious? Like, what? Stop!
Luthor clenched his fists, his head still lowered.
Stop! You stop it!
Bray said, by the way, old man Janus seems to have a real thing against humans. He's aiming to kill all of you. Don't know why, but maybe that's something you want to figure out, Luthor. Why are you telling me all of this? What do you want from me? Bray said, I'm giving you an opportunity. Take the disease and infect a human in this town.
Oh my gosh, no.
Luthor raised his head and looked at the squishy ball Bray was holding out to him. Luthor raised his head and looked at the squishy ball Bray was holding out to him. He gulped. You want me to kill someone from this town? Bray said, not just someone. A human. You know what that means, right, Luthor? Janus claims that humans started the disease because everyone who has fallen ill is not human. People believed in that claim enough that Janus was able to quarantine us in this town. If a human gets infected then Janus will have to set us free. Bray nodded as Luthor swallowed hard and looked at the squishy ball with dread.
Oh, don't take it. Oh, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is... I don't think you should kill anyone. This is so hard. Like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you could, like, pretend that you infected someone and then just, like, hide them away and I say that they died. I've no clue, but, like, killing someone isn't gonna... No, not that way. That's not how...
No.
No.
I can't. No. I know how it feels to take a life and die. I can't do it again.
That is... Yes, please. Thank goodness.
Bray frowned and looked impatient. Bray said, one life is all it takes for your freedom. Your family's freedom. The freedom for everyone else in this town too.
Oh my gosh, you can't... Just, like, I don't know, just, like, fake someone's death somehow. I know that sounds really bad, but it's better than actually killing someone. Like, can't you just fake someone's death? Like, say that they got infected? I don't know.
Bray said, I can't make this any simpler for you. I'm not even requiring that you have to kill one of your family members. Any human from this town is fine. Bray said, it can even be someone you hate. In fact, I recommend it. Luthor is trembling. Lieutenant Zone Valkyrie had a daughter called Zoe Valkyrie. She's 5. Lieutenant Zone Valkyrie had a daughter called Zoe Valkyrie. She's 5 now. His wife remarried. Lieutenant Zone Valkyrie had a daughter called Zoe Valkyrie. She's 5 now. His wife remarried and they are doing fine. But even if his family is doing well, I'm the reason Lieutenant Valkyrie never got to say goodbye to his daughter. I'm the reason he never got a chance to tell her one more time how much he loved her.
It's not your fault. It's literally... It's A, it's freaking Fulgur's fault, and B, it's Model 1's fault. Like, none of this was your fault. None of it. You didn't decide to test the cure. It was none of it was your fault. Literally none.
Luthor paused. If my life were ending, I think I would cherish the last few moments with my own family. In the least, I'd want to live my last moments my way. And I took that away from a man.
Yeah, well, Fulgur took away his life in general. Like, yeah, you created the cure, but that was like the smallest percentage of your responsibility. Like, it wasn't your fault.
Bray yawned and said, "So, you're telling me that you don't want to be free, Luthor?" "I do want to be free." Bray said, "How, then? You failed to create the cure and you're unwilling to do any more testing."
Not in this way. Don't be free in the... No, this is just wrong.
He said, "I'm never going to admit that I created the disease and I'll make it impossible for you to prove that I or Old Man Janus had any involvement in it." Bray said, "And your dad's plan to make friends with Old Man Janus?" Bray rolled his eyes and said, "Don't expect that one to go anywhere. I can't tell you that." "Why are you telling me all this?" Luthor pounded the elevator wall with both fists. "Why do you want to help me get my freedom?" Bray said, "I wasn't lying when I said we could be friends. Luthor Timecrest."
Go away. Never speak to Luthor again. Goodbye.
"Why do you want a friend so much? You seem perfectly happy." "Oh, why do you want a friend so much? You seem perfectly happy. Always laughing." Bray paused. His face looked blank, then he looked sad. Bray said, "I miss having a partner." Luthor eyed Bray without saying anything. Bray cheered up again and said, "Howard taught me that working with someone is fun. Since he won't talk to me, I'm in the market for a new partner. And that could be you, Luthor."
It's your fault that he doesn't talk to you, you crazy... I don't know. You literally accused him. It's your fault. It's your fault.
Bray said, "But you need to prove to me you can let go of silly feelings and do what it takes to get what you want." Luthor continued to tremble, but he held out his hand.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Bray's tone deepened again as he said, "Don't do anything noble like using it on yourself or I'll infect your whole family, dad, mum and baby." Bray placed the squishy ball into Luthor's hand. Luthor straightened his arm and held the ball far away from his body.
Luthor, from all the time that I have to know you, which is like a few hours at this point, you don't want to do this. There's better ways to do this. Don't do it.
"Is this really the best way to infect someone that you could come up with?" Bray said, "There are other ways to administer the infection, but I find tossing it like a water balloon to be fun."
Of course you do.
"Wouldn't people feel it when they get hit?" Bray said, "Nope. And as long as you toss it with enough strength and the liquid in this ball touches someone's skin, the infection takes hold. It even soaks through clothes." Luthor took several deep breaths as he steadied his hand holding the ball.
No, don't do it. Oh my gosh.
"Am I just supposed to take your word that this ball contains the disease?" Bray shrugged and said, "The best way to find out is to throw it at someone." Bray said, "And don't think you'll be able to analyze the contents of the ball. The formula of the disease inside this one is made to lose potency and disappear if not used soon." Luthor's eyes widened. "How soon?" Bray thought a bit and said, "Maybe a few minutes. It'll start deflating when time is about to run out and disappear completely when the liquid inside is no longer potent." Luthor looked frantic. Wait, give me a new one. Wait, give me a new one. That's not enough time." Bray said, "This is what you get. Maybe if you hadn't spent so much time feeling guilty about some dead guy." Bray said, "But lucky for you that there's also so many humans visiting your family's library. Just go outside of this door, choose someone and don't miss." Bray laughed as Luthor looked at the elevator door, but he didn't move. Bray took Luthor's arm, opened the elevator door and tossed him back into his family library. Bray said, "I have to get back to work. I told your dad I was going to the bathroom, so by now he must think I ate something really awful." Bray laughed. Bray said, "I hope you see someone you hate from town soon." His laughter rang as the elevator door closed and Luthor stood inside the library. System message. "You can't kill someone, Luthor. Remember your promise. 1 of 3. This is a sacrifice you have to make for the greater good, Luthor. Infect someone quickly. 2 of 3. What do we do? What do we do? 3 of 3. You can't kill someone, Luthor. Remember your promise. 1 of...
The first one. The first one. You can't. Don't actually kill someone. There is way better ways to do this. Don't
Responded,
do it.
"You can't." The glow of the pocket watch pulsated, but Luthor ignored it, eyes quickly moving from person to person in the library.
No, don't throw the freaking disease at someone. Don't do it. Don't.
His eyes stopped on an old man sleeping in one of the chairs nearby.
No.
Luthor mumbled to himself. Everyone's freedom for just one life.
Don't do it! It's not worth it! It's literally not worth it!
Everyone's freedom for just one life.
No!
Everyone's freedom for just one life. Luthor looked at the old man again, who had a peaceful expression as he started snoring. Luthor looked at the old man again, who had a peaceful expression as he started snoring. Luthor trembled and froze. A female voice called out, "Hello, Luthor. What are you mumbling to yourself?"
No. Oh no, this is bad.
Luthor watched in horror as a couple with a baby approached him. Mrs. Roberts, holding onto her baby girl, said, "How are you, Luthor?" "I'm fine, Mr. and Mrs. Roberts. I need to." "I'm fine, Mr. and Mrs. Roberts. I need to." Luthor tried to walk around the Roberts, but the couple surrounded him. Mr. Roberts said, "Is your father home today, Luthor?" He didn't answer when we tried to message him just now. Luthor winced as the Roberts' baby girl pointed at him and made a little smile. My dad's upstairs. My dad's upstairs. I need to go." Mr. Roberts said, "That's great. Can you give us access to your elevator? Mr. Roberts said, "That's great. Can you give us access to your elevator? We just want to say hello to Julius."
Sure.
Luthor tried to maneuver around the Robertses again, but he froze as the ball in his hand deflated a little. The Roberts' baby reached out for the ball and Luthor pulled his hand away.
No.
The Roberts' baby reached out for the ball and Luthor pulled his hand away, hiding it behind his back. The baby squealed, arms desperately outstretched.
No.
Mrs. Roberts said, "Do you know how your father's talks with King Janos have gone? Any resolution on the horizon for getting us out of the quarantine zone?" The Roberts' expressions were tense as they implored Luthor with their eyes. Luthor looked over to where the old man was sleeping, but realized that he must have left, awakened by the conversation. Mrs. The Roberts' expressions were tense as they implored. Luthor spun around looking for anyone but realized that they were alone. Helplessly, he refocused his attention at Mrs. Roberts, Mr. Roberts, and their baby as he felt the ball deflating in his hand.
I mean, don't kill any of them. Don't do it. Don't.
Dad's trying his best to befriend the king, but we're not getting any closer to being released from here. The Robertses both smiled and looked relieved. Mrs. Roberts, still smiling, said, "That's unfortunate." Mr. Roberts laughed and said, "It's unfortunate for the Valdorian Empire to keep us quarantined, right, dear? Our boys can't." Mr. Roberts laughed and said, "It's unfortunate for the Valdorian Empire to keep us quarantined, right, dear? Our boys can eat a lot."
A bit more than unfortunate, but sure.
Mr. Roberts said, "Luthor, trust me, you'll be surprised how much you're costing your parents when you have kids of your own." Mrs. Roberts said, "Dear." Mrs. Roberts said, "Dear, I love all the children we have together. Though, after 4 boys, it sure is good to welcome my very own little girl." Mr. Roberts said, "You know what I mean, dear. I love our sons and there's no one in this whole world who loves our little princess more than me." Mr. Roberts and his wife laughed in unison as they waved at a group of Valdorian soldiers passing by. The soldiers waved. Mr. Roberts and his wife laughed in unison as they waved at a group of Valdorian soldiers passing by. The soldiers waved back with small smiles. Mrs. Roberts said, "And the houses of Valdor give us in the quarantine zone are so spacious. My boys have their own rooms and I even have a small tea room." Her face looked dreamy as she said, "But our home is nothing compared to your family's home. Luthor, your mum must be ecstatic with all the room she has for just 2 kids." Luthor closed his eyes for a moment as he felt the squishy ball in his hand. Luthor closed his eyes for a moment as he felt the squishy ball in his hand. He opened his eyes and focused them on the Robertses. Mrs. Roberts said, "Tell your father to thank King Janos for treating us well under the circumstances." Luthor's eyes settled on Mrs. Roberts.
No, don't do it. No.
Mr. Roberts said, "We also wouldn't mind an introduction to the king so we can thank him ourselves." Luthor changed his target to Mr. Roberts.
Don't do it, you. Don't throw the thingy. Don't.
Mrs. Roberts said, "That would be the best. If we can thank King Janos ourselves. Luthor, would your father be able to introduce us?" Mrs. Roberts said, "That would be the best. If we can thank King Janos ourselves. Luthor, would your father be able to introduce us? Valdor is treating us well and keeping us entertained so we become comfortable and complacent. It makes it easier for Janos if we don't fight back when he tries to eliminate us." The Robertses looked at each other uncomfortably. Mrs. Roberts said, "That's ridiculous. No way something like that will be allowed to happen. Humans have been living in Lincia for nearly 1,000 years. Ellipsis." Mr. Roberts said, "Luthor, ellipsis, That's an awful accusation to make when the Valdorian Empire has been nothing but nice to us. Mister, Robert said, Julius is our ambassador. As his son, you should know better. He turned to his wife and said, and, dear, remember how so many Alinsane natives attended the Allies of Humanity rallies when King Janos announced he was building the quarantine cities? Mrs. Roberts nodded back, her head bobbing up and down rapidly. That's when the Valdorian disease only killed Valdorians. Less and less rallies happened when the disease started spreading to people outside of Valdor, until there were no more rallies in support of our right to freedom. The Robertses gulped as they looked at Luthor's expression. The Valdorian disease is reinforcing the idea to Alinsane natives that humans are different from them. As long as Alinsane natives feel like we're different from them, then the truth doesn't matter. Mister, Robert said, well, people can't just ignore the truth because they feel like it. Mister, Robert said, well, people can't just ignore the truth because they feel like it. We human descendants have a right to live in Alincia. Mrs. Robert said, you're right about that, dear. And I think Valdor knows it. Emotions can cloud anyone's judgment, yours. Luthor lowered his gaze. And mine too. The Robertses shot each other another uncomfortable glance. Mrs. Robert said, now, Luthor, is something wrong? You seem off today. I don't want to do this, but I think I'm going to have to bring this up with your parents.
Oh my gosh, no, don't make it worse.
Janos wants to eliminate humans from Valencia. My dad's plan of making friends with them won't work. Please tell me that you can't put aside your delusions for one moment. Or are you so afraid to lose your own comforts that you would put your daughter's future at risk? The Robertses looked offended and indignant. Mister, Robert rolled up his sleeves and said, you take us upstairs to your father right now, Luthor Timecrest. Luthor felt the squishy ball continue to deflate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mrs. Robert said, you should be sorry after the way you acted.
No, I know what you're planning to do. Don't do it, Luthor. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I have to do it.
No,
I have
you
to
don't.
do it for everyone.
No, you don't.
I have to do it. I have to do it for everyone.
You don't.
The Robertses looked confused as Luthor raised his hand and threw the ball at Mr. Roberts.
No, 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 no.
Luthor's eyes widened as the ball left his hand and his face changed to horror as the ball flew towards Mr.
Oh my
Roberts.
gosh, no, no, guys. No, 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 no.
Levitus Magnus. The squishy ball flew into the air with a powerful gust of wind and splattered on the ceiling instead of Mr. Roberts.
Oh my, thank goodness, oh my gosh. Yes, okay. Oh my, that is, I'm actually so relieved that he didn't throw it at them. Oh no, that he didn't hit them. Like, oh my gosh.
Luthor swallowed hard as he watched the ball vanish from the ceiling, leaving no trace. Mr. Robert squinted at the ceiling as his face turned red. He said, what did you try to throw at me?
You don't want to know.
Luthor shook his head, completely ignoring the Roberts now. I couldn't do it. I failed.
That's because you knew that it was wrong. It's not your fault. I'm so glad I realized.
Mr. Roberts looked back at Luthor and said, you sound crazy. We're going to see your father right now. He tried to grab Luthor. Luthor dodged Mr. Roberts' hand and ran out of the library. Luthor struggled to keep his breath as he ran. He ducked into a quiet alleyway and dropped down to one knee. Luthor took several deep breaths. Luthor took several deep breaths. His chest heaving. I had a chance to free everyone and I blew it.
That's because there's better ways to do this, though. Like, that wasn't the only way.
He looked up at the Valdorian wall looming in the distance and scratched his arm with his hand, leaving red marks.
Oh my gosh, don't.
If I just let the ball hit Mr. Roberts,
then he would be dead. He would be dead, and he'd have 5 children and a wife who he would have to, like, he'd have... No.
Ash, Mum, Dad, and everyone else trapped in this tank would be free.
Yeah, at what cost, though? At what cost? Like, what about his family? Like, you couldn't.
I could have dealt a huge setback to Janos' plan against humans.
You could have, but you... No.
Luthor closed his eyes.
There's better ways to do this.
I almost killed someone today. I was so tempted because I've been stuck for so long that I almost broke my promise. Luthor hugged himself. I'm so glad I didn't hurt anyone.
Me too. I am so... Oh my gosh, that was close.
If I was willing to do that, then I would have kept working on a cure for the Valdorian disease. He opened his eyes. He allowed himself to calm a bit more before taking out the pocket watch. But I already decided to place my hope in this pocket watch. Luthor's breathing slowed down bit by bit as he looked at the glow. He saw your previous message. System message. You made the right choice not to kill Mr. Roberts. You promised you wouldn't kill, remember? 1 of 2 response.
Exactly.
You threw the ball though. What made you change your mind? 2 of 2. You made the right choice not to kill Mr. Roberts. You promised you wouldn't kill. Responded. You. The script. Luthor continued to take deep breaths as he looked down at the gentle glow of the pocket watch.
I am so relieved that he didn't actually kill anyone, guys. Like, I was not expecting this to get so intense. I feel like this video is also getting long, so I'll just, like, see...
I feel like it was the right choice. But there's a
was.
pounding ache in my head that's telling me I'm wrong.
It was the right choice. Ignore that. It was the right choice.
Luthor held his head for a moment. I'm grateful you're here. What happened today is not something I'd be able to talk about with anyone else. Luthor sighed. Do the ends justify the means?
Not really. Not always, not really.
What kind of a person would I be if I believed that they did? Luthor paused. I was able to get back to being me after I killed Lieutenant Zone Valsori because of the pocket watch. After the lieutenant died, I didn't go back to my lab for a long time. I collected trading cards. I collected trading cards. I ate barbecue chips. I went to Dylan. I collected trading cards. I ate barbecue chips. I went to Dylan's party for his sister's birthday. I sat around and did nothing. Luthor paused as he smiled down at the pocket watch. I would have been stuck in that state of denial. I would have been stuck in that state of denial. Uselessness? Death? No, not dead. I was miserable. Worse than dead. Whatever state it was, I would have been stuck there and I would have continued being miserable if the pocket watch didn't glow blue one day. It glowed long enough for me to realize that I wasn't hallucinating. The time manipulator is the first human who came to Valencia, and the glow of the watch made me think that perhaps he wasn't ready to give up on me and humans yet.
That is nice. That is really nice. Like,
The time
I don't know. I'm glad that you were able to, like, get out of that, but, like, still, like, I don't know. I'm glad that he didn't kill anyone.
Afterwards, I concentrated all my energy into creating the chrono gem and making contact through the pocket watch. Luthor paused and dug a nail into his hand. I was so concentrated on my mission that I ended up scarring Ash for life.
That wasn't really your fault either. Like, you should have been watching Ash, but again, it wasn't completely your fault.
I made yet another horrible mistake, but I was doing something again. Luthor paused. Thanks to the pocket watch, I felt like me again. Luthor looked at the pocket watch. I'm telling you this because I might have failed today, but I'm not ready to give up again. Not when I just found you. Will you tell my dad, Julius Timecrest, what Dr. Fulgur admitted to me about the disease? But if I show the pocket watch to my dad and he sees a message from the time manipulator with his own eyes, then he'll believe me.
I don't think he can see them, though.
System met. Of course. Just bring me to Julius and I'll tell him everything. 1 of 2. Can I actually speak with Julius? 2 of 2.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but I might have to leave it here because I feel like this video is getting really long. I would genuinely like to continue on, but I don't know, like, I don't want to keep you guys too long. So I think I'm honestly just gonna end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm so glad that Luthor changed his mind. I cannot even express. I'm so glad. And I'm confused now because how is this guy Kronos? How is this guy Kronos? But anyway, hopefully please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and comment down below if you're happy with Luthor's choice or if you wish that he'd done something differently. And see you guys next time.